Hey everyone, before we start this episode, I wanted to talk to you about the situation in Maui. The destruction on Maui is considered the worst wildfire in modern U.S. history, with the death toll increasing hourly and over $5 billion in damage. The Maui fires have the attention of the international news cycle. However, this will continue to impact the people of Maui for years longer than one news cycle. On top of the devastation and displacement, corporate interests have already begun trying to grab their scorched land to develop and profit off of the tragedy. Financially supported communities are better positioned to refuse land grab offers, so the more money we give the people of Maui in this crucial time, the better they can provide relief, rebuild, and ensure their land stays theirs for the long haul. The fastest way to spread the word right now is to make videos, communicate what you can in any way you can, whether it be on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, and Twitter, encouraging people to donate. So the best place to donate is a donation fund or run by Aina Momona, a local grassroots nonprofit organization run by Native Hawaiians. The donations made here will go directly to verified Maui families impacted by the wildfires. So I'm going to put the link in the show notes. If you can donate, if you have the ability to do so, and you want to help the people directly, you can go and donate to the link below for Aina Momoa. Like I said before, it's a local grassroots nonprofit organization run by Native Hawaiians. Thank you for your support in advance. I really appreciate it. I'm going to be putting this clip in all of my episodes for the next few weeks, and it's just something that we need to do to help people. We've seen the wrath of climate change, and now it's time to help the people that are affected by the consequences. Thank you so much for your support. Let's start the show. As you just heard from the clip that I just put together, communication is key. And when we are in a position where we're able to communicate, those who are science communicators, those who would like to be science communicators, when it's time to communicate the science, when it's time to communicate the management and the conservation, this is where we will strive. We will strive not only after devastations to help people like I just tried to do through that clip, but also to help people before devastations happen, before these tragedies can happen. And hopefully your advocacy, your communication, your science, your conservation and management will help prevent the next devastation. That's what we're going to talk about today on this episode of the How to Protect the Ocean podcast. I'm going to show you why science communication is so important to help these items and help people in the future. Let's start the show. Hey everybody, welcome back to another exciting episode of the How to Protect the Ocean podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Lewin. This is the podcast where you find out what's happening with the ocean, how you can speak up for the ocean, and what you can do to live for a better ocean by taking action. I have a very big privilege. I have the privilege of having a podcast where I can reach sometimes thousands of people in one episode. It's pretty unreal to think about the fact that my voice can travel through the earbuds of 1,000 people in one single episode. It doesn't happen all the time. It doesn't happen to everybody, but I've built this organization. I've built this podcast up to be able to do that. And I hope in the future to even grow that even more. But it comes with a lot of responsibility to talk about the ocean, to talk about ocean protection, to talk about ocean science, and to get people to listen. To get people to understand, where I'm coming from, where the science community is coming from, and where the conservation community is coming from, so that we can inspire you, the audience member, to say, hey, let's protect this ocean. Let's do this. How can I help? Where can I be of benefit? And if you're listening to this episode, especially this one where I talk more about communication on these Wednesdays, you're probably saying, I've always wanted to help. I've always wanted to communicate science. I've always wanted to be a communicator, whether it's start a podcast or start a YouTube channel or start a TikTok account or start an Instagram account that will be dedicated towards whether it be oceans or wildlife or whatever that might be, conservation, it doesn't matter, right? If you want to start it and you're a little hesitant to start it, I want you to think about this story. Last week I talked about the Maui wildfires, and I talked about what what were the contributions to spreading that wildfire. Talked about invasive species that have been there for a long time, the grasses that were brought over in the 1800s by the Europeans to help feed the cows that were out there. And when they got rid of the cows, they decided not to get rid of the grasses and let it grow really, really tall. Nobody really did anything about it that we know of at this point. I don't know if there were programs around that. But that was, with the drought conditions that Maui was facing this year, and then the massive winds from Hurricane Dora that came through at that unfortunate time, and the sparks and the fires that were going through and ripping through that part of the Maui Island to devastate Maui, the accelerant essentially was the grasses, the dry grasses that were brought over in an invasive species or introduced species. And these are the types of things, these managements, like the stuff that should have been managed a while ago, are the reasons why communication is so important. You may not think your communication of conservation will do anything. You may not think that it will help, but it does. Whether you are covering local issues, whether you are covering national issues, or whether you're covering international issues, you can help contribute to major campaigns. You can be a part of the solution before the devastation happens. Imagine there was somebody talking about the grasses in Maui. Imagine somebody listened to it as part of a conservation organization and said, you know what, we should do something. We should look into that. Imagine if something was done about it. Right? Imagine if that organization started to put a program together, started talking to the government, started putting more pressure on the government to say we need to put a program together to say we need to get rid of these grasses. Or even that organization did it themselves, had the funding to do it themselves. Just imagine that. Imagine if that could have helped. That's what we as science communicators can do. I'm not saying it's going to happen every time, but the fact that we get it out to the people, the fact that we can talk directly to people just like yourself who want to know more on how to protect the ocean than ever before. They just don't know how to do it. And they need to know, right? Because if they don't know, they're just going to go about their daily business and they're going to say, well, I'm going to do my best from what I know. But if I'm not getting it directly to my earbuds, or I'm not getting it on my YouTube channel or in my TikTok feed, then I may not know much about it. I go through right now, I have a local issue in Ontario. We have a green belt. It's a zone that is supposed to be untouched. Nobody can develop on it because we need this green belt to keep our environment working properly. You know, it's just above the city of Toronto. And right now, we have a housing crisis in Canada. We have a housing crisis in Ontario. And we don't have enough houses to home the people. And people are going either homeless or they can't find houses. They're having trouble. The prices are crazy now. We could be on the brink of a recession. We don't know. Who knows what's going to happen? So the premier of our province, Doug Ford, who's head of our government at the province, decided to open up the Greenbelt to, some housing developers. Part of the Greenbelt. A big chunk of the Greenbelt. Right? And those developers are going to make billions of dollars. 8.3, in fact. They're going to make $8.3 billion off of these housing developments. Now, it just so happens that the people who are benefiting have also attended Doug Ford's daughter's wedding. And so there's a bit of a scandal there. We're not going to go into that scandal. But they're opening it up for the housing. They're opening up the Greenbelt. They felt that the Greenbelt, even though there's land available elsewhere, they decided that the Greenbelt is going to be the place to go because there's going to be a highway put around there, and that's going to be important. So the highway that the premier, Doug Ford, has been pushing towards. Right? Scandals all around. People don't like it. In fact, the fact that in his election run, he said he wasn't going to touch the Greenbelt. He even said it's on video, everybody's seen it, and now he's touching the Greenbelt because there's a housing shortage, all that kind of stuff. People are speaking out about it. There's a TikTok creator who's speaking out about it, and I get most of my information from that person. And when he tells me to sign a petition or he tells me that there's a place I can go to put in my comments, I go to that place. And he's got thousands, if not tens of thousands of followers, right? Not a huge creator by TikTok standards by any means, but he's providing information for those people who want to know. And within that area, within that 10,000 or tens of thousands of people who are following him, he is going to find someone who can do something more, who's part of an organization, who can collaborate with him, who can offer him information, that can offer more information to an audience member like myself, that I can do something about it, that I can speak to my MP, that I can complain to my MP who is a part of that government. All these different things that you can do, sign petitions, support the right organizations that are doing great things, telling which organizations are doing what needs to be done. These are the types of information that audience members need from science communicators like that guy and like me, right? We need to provide the right information. It's our responsibility to provide that right information, to build the trust, to help you protect the planet, to help you do the right thing that align with your values, right? We're not telling you what to do. We're giving you options of what to do. And if you're not communicating this, if you're hesitant because you're worried about what people are going to say, it's very difficult to go behind a camera. It's very difficult to, go behind a microphone and talk your opinion, talk the facts, right? Just speak in general. But if you don't, you might not prevent the next devastation. You might not inspire the person who is going to help organizations get their stuff done. You might not have a listener you're definitely not going to have a listener if you don't start, who is a billionaire or a millionaire and decides to donate to an organization that you talk about. You may not have that. I've never had that happen, but I don't know if that person's not in my audience. I have no idea. And we will never know if you don't start whatever communication style you're going to start, whatever platform you're going to go on. It is integral, especially when we're seeing the devastations that we're seeing now. We've been talking about the Maui fires in the Hawaiian Islands. But right now, as I talk, we just had a mandatory evacuation for a major city in the Northwest Territories in Canada. Yellowknife says they have to have everybody evacuated by mid-afternoon on Friday, which is tomorrow. How do you help the people? How can you help? And to help is to communicate what's been happening to the ocean, what's been happening to wildlife, what's been happening to our environment, what have we been doing to our planet, what we can do to make it better. We are seeing the consequences right in front of our eyes. Some people seeing it devastating their homes. Some people are seeing it where they have to sit in water to escape, in the ocean, to escape the fires that could burn them, that have been burning their homes down, killing their friends and family members. We are in a serious situation, and we need more people to communicate. We need more people to get out there. We need more people to help people in the future from going through this devastation. And sometimes, it's hard to stop climate change. I get it. But there are other little things that you can do to make sure that management is put in place, to make sure that things are done properly. Right now in Maui, there's investigations going over everything to make sure that they find out what the cause of the wildfire was, right? It could have been anything. It could have been a spark from an electric company or a faulty wire, right? The fact that it spread using invasive grasses and those were never removed or never gotten rid of, right? Those management styles could have been helped by somebody who was trying to communicate that. I mean, Native Hawaiians have been trying to say it for centuries, but unfortunately, nobody was listening to them. So the more people we have talking about it, there's more of a chance that people are going to listen, and more of a chance that there's action that's going to be taken. And without that science communication channel that you want to build, and every day that you don't build it is another missed opportunity in trying to get someone who could do something about it to listen to you. You can't get them to listen to you because you're not starting your thing. I know it's hard. I know it's difficult, but we need more people to start what they need to do, to start communicating the science, the conservation, the management, the policy that's necessary to minimize the consequences of things like climate change and wildfires. and try and continue and work hard, even though there will be failures, even though people will criticize, even though there's a lot of negatives that go around, it takes up a lot of time. You never know what your efforts will do. And I think that's something that's extremely important, and it's something that we need to realize the next time you second guess yourself at pressing that button and recording, whether it be a video or an audio message or writing a blog. You never know what that mistake or not. You never know what is going to happen through your efforts. And that's the message I want to take home. I want you to take home today. I want you to think about what you're missing out on and what people are missing out on by you not communicating and you not taking that chance and making that step forward to doing what you want to do. So I hope that helps inspire you. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. If you're trying to start a communication channel or you're trying to start something, let me know. You can DM me on Instagram at How to Protect the Ocean. There are too many people being affected by climate change already, and we need to help stop that. We need to help prevent it as much as possible. Your communication channel that you want to create might be the next thing that might help us get over these and minimize the devastation. So I want to thank you so much for listening to this episode of the How to Protect the Ocean podcast. Please see the link of the clip I mentioned at the beginning. You'll hear that clip for a number of episodes after this. We need to help people. We need to help people who are being devastated by this. That's really what it comes down to. So thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the How to Protect the Ocean podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Lewin. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time, and happy conservation.